Welcome to the AL.com film room. I'm Matt Scalisi here with Cole Cubelic, our Auburn football analyst. We're continuing our look at Auburn's loss to Mississippi State from last weekend, and we're going to look at the offense this time for Auburn. Cole, some mistakes early in this game got Auburn behind in a hurry, so they're kind of playing from a little bit of an uncomfortable position. They're playing from behind from pretty early on in this game. How did that affect the way that they approach things?
I think it changed play calling a little bit. This is an offense. You see spread, and you see guys who can run and guys who can make plays, and you automatically think, well, they're built to throw the football around a little bit. Gus Malzahn will tell you he's a guy that likes to run first. It's a run-first offense, and they like to run to set up the pass. And then really you're not able to do that when you're down 14-0 after you've run 2 plays in the football game. So I think also mentally and emotionally guys really hadn't been in that situation this year. Haven't been put in a really bad situation like that. So you find yourself looking left, looking right, saying, okay, where are we? Who's going to step up? Who's going to go make plays? And it allows the defense to do a lot of different things. They can either be super aggressive or they can kind of sit back, play base defense, and keep things in front of you. I think the second part of that is what Jeff Collins, Mississippi State's defensive coordinator, did the most of, and just said, hey, we're going to sit back and see what you guys do. We're going to kind of wait. We're going to let our guys up front attempt to make some plays. And then if you don't go make big plays, we're going to be fine because we're going to force you to chip away. And eventually, we think our offense is going to continue to score points. It really did set up nicely for the Mississippi State defense.
Cole, we talked about the early mistakes. This game got off to a pretty rough start for Auburn with this early interception. Let's take a look at what happened on that play.
Yeah, first play of the game here, and you're just going to see a little bit of extra push on the right guard, opens his hips a little bit, doesn't square the defender up. You want to stay square, stay in front of the defender, not let them get around you where you have the opportunity to see the quarterback, number one, to even know to get that hand up and defend the pass, and number two, have the freedom to get that extra hand up. If you got both hands inside, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because that defensive lineman is going to be engaged with you, and it's not going to be as easy for him to get that one hand up and attempt to deflect a pass. So you'll see a little bit of push late here from the right guard position, and that's what's going to allow this pass to be defended. Right there, open up the hips a little bit, hand goes up, ball's deflected. Auburn very fortunate this didn't result in a big play right away all the way to the end zone. State capitalizes on it anyway. There you see just a tip pass, right place, right time for State's defense. Nice individual effort on the pass rush there to stay in the rush lane and then have the visual understanding that Nick Marshall ready to throw that pass, get a hand up and bat it. All right, Matt, as Auburn's offense here, down 14, things going to change a little bit. It's still early enough in the game to stick with your base principles. Run the zone read, get your base offense going. You don't hit the panic button just yet. This is a very interesting play. We've talked all season about adding a pass option to the zone read, something that could really open things up for Nick Marshall. There's a lot of things that stick out to me on this play. First thing is, what do we say about Coach Collins? Got conservative. Really said to himself, hey, we've got a 14-point lead here. I don't need to get aggressive. I can just play base defense. 4-3 defense, your 4 defensive linemen, your 4 linebackers. Matthew Wells, fastest player on the team, outside linebacker. I can just match him up over the slot receiver. Now all of a sudden, you like these numbers again right here. 6 defenders against the 5 offensive linemen, and you got to worry about these 2 in the backfield. But again, you'll take your chances with that. The motion comes over, zone read from Nick Marshall, where if he wants to give this football, he can, and if he keeps it, he's going to come down the line of scrimmage here. Watch how deep he's going to take this football out instead of up. To me, that shows a little bit of a pass option here. You'll see Sammy Coates just kind of run a go route, but you also see Reese Tismeeks quickly come downfield. You'll see the slot receiver come and block Matthew Wells here. So I'm not sure if there's some miscommunication on this play, if maybe some guys thought it did have a pass option, other guys thought it was just a run play. Regardless of what happened, this is textbook how to play the zone read from the defensive end position by Ryan Brown. Not of the Jocks Roundtable, but Ryan Brown of the Mississippi State defense. You'll check him here. Watch this young man play flat on the line of scrimmage and then attack the quarterback immediately. Now, he has a little bit more of an opportunity to go make that play because there is probably a pass option on that play. If Nick Marshall comes flat down the line of scrimmage and gets north and south, I'm not sure Ryan Brown can catch him. Nonetheless, textbook fundamentals of keeping the shoulder square, flat down the line of scrimmage. Once you see the quarterback keep it, you quickly get back and try to take away the run option. Very nice job by Mississippi State's defense and potentially a little bit of miscommunication by Auburn's offense. Okay, Matt, here, 23-38, 4 minutes left. These guys love this part of the game right here. They know they can tee off and they can come after you. You're probably going to get some games somewhere along. You know you're going to get a speed rush on the outside if you're a tackle. But this is advantage defensive line when you're at this point in the game. So Nick Marshall automatically knows he's probably not going to have too much time in the pocket. A couple things that stick out here. If you're Sean Coleman, you cannot open up your hips to the sideline. Don't take a picture of the quarterback with your rear end. Still try to keep those shoulders square as you set back, because that's going to make it more difficult for the defender to get the edge and get around and collapse the pocket. You'll see his shoulders and his hips kind of open up, and that gives the defensive lineman a direct line to the quarterback. An interior twist here. Penetrator is going to come from the top defensive tackle spot, and then the loop man's going to come around here. You'll see a nice speed rush up the field by Ryan Brown again. But Chad Slade, while he's working on this double team, if you'll notice once we start the tape, his eyes are going to be out here on the speed rusher. You got to protect the point of attack inside. And technically, when your man that you're double teaming is the penetrator and he goes away inside, you must expect the loop man because he becomes your responsibility. It's difficult for the center, Reese Dismukes, to trade that off with the right guard when his eyes visually are somewhere else. So we'll take a look and watch this play develop. A couple different areas you're looking at. Here comes the loop man around the outside. That's not the end result of why this play was a sack. You had a breakdown at left tackle. You had a breakdown at right guard. Some more pressure coming maybe from right tackle. Really and truly just poor pass protection. And when you've got 5-on-4, you're not supposed to be able to give up that kind of a rush. You should work together. I don't think the synergy was really there. Didn't have a good understanding of what was going to take place from a pre-snap read standpoint and just a breakdown. All right, Matt, we talked about how some of these defenses are playing the zone read, extra defender to the box. Well, instead of now bringing a guy from the secondary, what you'll see Jeff Collins and his bunch do, just going to walk an extra defender down to the line of scrimmage. Linebacker, he's basically making it a five-man front, which is an Eagle defense. It's a base defense that you see a lot. You just can't use it today very often with spread offenses and spread personnel on the field. Puts this guy in a bind right here. He's got a lot of ground to cover because you're matched up here with the slot receiver at the bottom. It's blocked very well. A couple guys that I want to point out do a really nice job. First, center Reese Dismukes is going to block back on this defensive tackle. Watch how he continues to work his body towards the end zone, towards the first down marker. We'll run this and then run it back. But watch how Dismukes continues to work on this play. He doesn't just go back, continues to work his body up the field. That really walls off the defender for Nick Marshall when he wants to come through and make that play. Another nice block here. You're going to see the double team of Avery Young and Chad Slade. Right guard, right tackle going to work on this defender right here. So this is the guy you're originally reading, but again, replaced to the outside, so it kind of forces a bad read. That's why you have your pulling guard, is to handle that extra defender on the outside that we've seen so many times this year. But I want you to see the double team between these two guys right here. It just goes to show you, so many times you'll see an Auburn offensive lineman, and it happens with other groups as well. You get a guard or a tackle who quickly wants to come off and go get that linebacker, get on the second level, they do it too early. That allows the linebacker to readjust, come back and make a play, or you lose your double team on that initial point of attack. Shows you don't even have to come off on the linebacker. If you get nice push on a double team, stick with it, have some patience, you put this guy in a really bad situation. So you'll see here, watch the double team between the right guard and the right tackle. They're going to work this double team up. Pretty good push at the point of attack. Don't even have to get off on that linebacker. Just continue to push back. Visually, it's going to hurt him. He's not going to be able to read and recognize quickly enough. One of the reasons Nick Marshall's able to have a nice game there. All right, Matt, I think Auburn showed you that when they need to throw, they can be successful throwing here. A pretty significant deficit. Obviously, you're down 15 points. You got to get this football into the end zone. You're coming up on halftime. Offense has had success moving the football down the field, just not capitalizing yet. And if there's one thing I took away from this football game, this young man right here needs more targets. That's my opinion. I don't call the plays. I'm not a coach. I'm finding a way to get number one the football a little bit more. I mean, this kid to me is the best player on Auburn's team. He was very aggressive in this game. We didn't highlight any. Very physical at the point of attack. He blocked well. He attacked defenders in the run game. And he catches just about everything you throw to him. You'll see a nice pocket develop here by the offensive line. Just a four-man rush from Mississippi State. A little bit of a blown coverage over here for State. And that's how Duke Williams is going to run free. Nick Marshall, it's not hard to find a guy that's open. Looks left, needed to stay right. Just some miscommunication in the backfield. But you're going to have that. And I don't think you're going to have many opportunities not only to find Duke Williams that open, but even to find him in one-on-ones the rest of the season. Matt, as we've mentioned before, this group right here loves this situation. 3rd and 9. getting close to the end of the game. You got a nice lead. They can tee off and just come after you. I want to point out Avery Young here. A nice pass set, but then again, when he feels his defender begin to get the edge on the outside, that's when he turns and runs him past the pocket. It's an excellent job at the tackle position, but you'll see this offensive line solid in protection, going to give Nick Marshall the time to look downfield, have room to step up, step into his throw, and then again, this kid Duke Williams is just fantastic. He knows how to create space, uses his body, and to be able to be his size, go out and get a football like this. Watch how this ball just looks like it sticks to his hands. You see how the rotation just immediately stops on that football? This kid is a heck of a player. I think he's Auburn's best football player. Find a way to get him the ball. Matt, here we'll take a look at Auburn near the goal line. Some of the reasons they were not able to capitalize, get this football into the end zone. This play actually blocked fairly nice, but you see just the amount of defenders that are here in the tackle box. It's going to be very difficult to handle 8 defenders with 5 offensive linemen. Now, you have your unaccounted for man. You're going to leave one go. So zone read, this is the guy that you're going to read right here, but he comes flat down the line of scrimmage. So I question handing it off. This is one of those plays where you think to yourself, probably just a called play in the huddle, hope to get a little push with the offensive line and allow your running back to go make a play. But again, Mississippi State defensively, a nice job coming flat down the line of scrimmage because he's not blocked. He's unaccounted for. You're going to let this defensive end go, and he just comes right off and makes a play. Very difficult to ask a running back to find a cut lane when you don't have anything to go there. All right, so one play here, Matt, we don't see a whole lot of. You're going to fake the reverse and kind of a quarterback sweep. Let's get Nick Marshall out on the perimeter, out on the edge. I love plays down around the goal line. Number 1, to the wide side of the field. Number 2, where you give the player the option to go outside or make a cut north and south and go inside. I love option plays, and I don't mean the old school triple option, plays that have an option for the player near the goal line. So I felt like this is a pretty good call. This is just Mississippi State's defense reading and reacting and pursuing, getting to the play. You see Devontae Dancy out front, 53. He's got enough on that player to allow Marshall to cut back. Too many maroon jerseys, honestly. This is just nice fundamental football on the part of Mississippi State. And now one play here that some Auburn fans maybe feel like 3rd and goal. You're getting a little tricky. I don't like this play call, but hey, Gus Malzahn, this is what makes him great. He sees something that he likes, feels like he can go get a play. He's going to call something a little out of the ordinary here. Showing a speed option. Pitches it back to Uzoma, who had the pass option there. But you got to give C.J. Uzoma credit there for not throwing that football into coverage. Taking a run option, might not get into the end zone, doesn't get into the end zone, but you at least give your team an opportunity to come away with points there instead of turning it over. So a tricky play call, a high-risk play call, but you give C.J. Uzoma credit at the same time for making a nice play, not putting that ball into the hands of a Mississippi State defender, and giving yourself an opportunity to come away with points.
All right, Cole. Well, one thing going forward, I'm sure a lot of Auburn's opponents are going to be watching this film, seeing what Mississippi State did that was so effective in shutting down Auburn's offense. In terms of what Auburn can do and what they could learn from this game, and what can they come away with that can prevent things like this from happening down the line against some of the tougher defenses.
One thing that's a little bit odd, Matt, when you take a look at this film and you think about how this game played out, there's not a lot fundamentally from a schematic standpoint that I think teams can really take away from this and say, we're going to utilize that to stop Auburn's offense or slow Auburn's offense. And we mentioned it a few times. Jeff Collins had the luxury of having that 14 points being spotted to his defense. At that point in time, you pull guys aside, you say, guess what? Now we get to go play base defense, and we just get to play ball. See ball, get ball, attack the football. Let's go make some plays, have some fun, no pressure. Mentally and emotionally, I don't know how many teams down the road are going to have that. So you have to use your scheme, your X's and O's, to go try and stop Auburn's offense. And these Auburn kids, you have to think, they put a little extra pressure on themselves as well. So you're not going to go into every game that early in the football game and have that kind of advantage over a Gus Malzahn offense. Very fortunate of Mississippi State to get that done that early and be able to utilize the clock, play against the clock for the rest of the game, knowing we're going to play off you, we're going to keep everything in front, we're going to wait for you to make a mistake. If you get us once or twice, it's okay because we proved that your defense isn't stopping us and we already got a couple touchdowns on the board. So I think more than anything else, teams are going to learn you need a fast start if you're going to beat this Auburn football team. Schematically, on defense, they're also not going to have those players. They're not going to have Ryan Brown. They're not going to have Chris Jones and Preston Smith, and on offense, De'Runnya Wilson and some of those guys. So if they go get those dudes, then yeah, they might have a chance to go beat Auburn too. But at the end of the day, Auburn ran into a very good football team with very good players and put themselves in as bad a position in the first few plays of the game as they possibly could. All that being said, there will be some tough defenses down the road. There will be some more tough competition down the road. This team has to learn to finish. They have to cut down on the missed assignments. More missed assignments along the offensive line in this game than maybe I've seen the entire season. There were definite breakdowns, and that cost Auburn an opportunity at some plays. Some fans want to say the penalties cost Auburn this game and whatnot. There's no one penalty that costs any team a football game ever. Don't be a penalty vulture. Don't sit around hoping for penalties and looking for penalties on every play. Bottom line is, Auburn was outplayed and outcoached. They'll have an opportunity to bounce back. They're not out of the college football playoff. They're not out of the SEC West race. A lot is still going to happen.
All right, well, that's it for this week. Thanks for watching the Film Room.